Greetings from the UK. Okay, so this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so apologies if I naff it up, but basically I wanted to introduce you to what's going to be called the Commodore 64, or the Commodore 64X. What I'll do is I'll move back a bit so that you can actually see it. So this is a modern PC, but in the shape similar to the Commodore 64X bread bin. So on the side, we've got what used to be used for a DVD slot. We're going to put a hard drive adapter or hard drive docking station in there. On the other side, what would be, that would normally be used for the joystick ports, but we've got a card reader in there. And then if we turn it round to the back, you can see that we've got a fan, which is there. And then we've got a big opening, a massive opening, and that is for a mini IGX motherboard. But what I wanted to do before I start going into that is explain where it came from, because we didn't produce this. This came out in 2011. So if I just share the screen a sec, right, can you see this? Yeah, right. So it started in 2011 by a company called Commodore USA and a gentleman called Barry Altman. So he conceived the idea in 2011 with his CTO, Leo. I'm not going to pronounce his second name because I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but together they come up with the design for the Commodore 64X. And then on top of that, they came out with basically something called Commodore OS Vision, which is a Linux distro, and it was amazing. And that came out in 2012. So everything was going really well. And then unfortunately, Barry Altman passed away in 2012. And it was a real shame, because what they did in a short period of time, 2 years, was amazing. They came out with Amiga minis and all sorts of different things. It was a shame that he passed away. So at the time I was in a college course, and I was I heard about the actual Commodore 64X project, and I knew that the owner passed away, but I kept on going on the website because the website was still up, and then the website disappeared. And then in 2014 I made contact with some of the people that own some of the stuff, and I managed to buy the injection molds. I bought the keyboards and some cases, and had it all shipped over to the UK, and then opened the website up and started selling some stuff. At the time, I didn't even have the My Retro Computer logo, but I was selling it under the name My Retro Computer, because we couldn't use the name Commodore at the time. And then fast forward to 2020, I wanted to do it in a bigger way, and I was furloughed from my regular job, and I thought, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm never going to do it. So we decided to start selling them on the website, and we've been doing that all the way through 2020, 2021, all the way through 2022. But it got to the point where it was taking a lot of my time up, because I was building these at my works or at home, and it was taking a lot of time up. And what I wanted to do was get them built by a professional company, and I'd just be the sort of like seller. And in order for me to do that, I thought I'd have to do a Kickstarter campaign, and then get the Commodore 64s, get everything shipped, the injection molds and everything, get it shipped to China. So we did a Kickstarter campaign, and this was launched, I think now it's such a muddle because it's been a busy year, but this was launched in June of this year, I do believe. And we're going to do not just the standard beige, but we're going to do translucent, and then we're going to do a lot of different colors, what we're calling the chameleons. So that was what the Kickstarter was all about. So getting everything shipped over to China, and then getting getting our manufacturing partners in China to produce these. But then, and also, which is a really good thing, we've managed to make contact with the guy that did the original Commodore OS Vision, which has been discontinued, and he's accepted the challenge of getting this up to date, ready for 2023. He's sent me over an alpha build, and it's absolutely amazing. And so all the products that we're going to ship will come with Commodore OS Vision. So everything was going really well, and we were only on the second day of the campaign. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because yesterday David mentioned about how the Commodore scene is terrible because of, you know, people trying to sue people and things like that. Well, on the second day of the campaign, we raised over £100,000. So we're 24 hours in, and this guy, no bad feelings towards the guy, but he doesn't have a license to use the Commodore brand. He says he owns Commodore, and then he got all the Kickstarter and told them to take the campaign down because we're encroaching on his trademark. So Kickstarter took our campaign down pending an investigation. So I was beside myself, and the problem with it is we lost all our traction. So we were over £100,000 on the first day, and it was going really well, and then it got taken down, and we lost half of the people that backed it, cancelled their pledges, and it was terrible. So I didn't know what to do. I'd contacted the people that were licensing the Commodore brand from, which is Commodore Corporation. They used to be called Polab Holdings, and a guy called Eugene Van Os. And I said, look, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to contact Kickstarter and get it reinstated. We're losing thousands of pounds here. So he sent a load of documentation to Kickstarter, and he also sent me this to put on our social feeds and everything so people could see it, so it would stop people leaving the campaign. And basically Kickstarter contacted me and said that unless the person that issued the complaint retracts it, the campaign stays down. So even with the legal owners saying that this is outrageous and reinstate the campaign, they wouldn't reinstate it. So this was at my lowest point. I thought, what am I going to do? So I contacted a few people I knew, and one of them was David Pleasant, and he issued a statement on social media, and it did the trick. This guy contacted me and apologized, and I accepted his apology, and he instructed Kickstarter to reinstate the campaign. And basically, if I just come off this now. So basically, the campaign got reinstated after a week, but the damage was done. We predicted that we'd be at the end of the campaign would be over £300,000, but we ended it on 150, which sounds a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, but it wasn't enough because we were doing a retro monitor. I haven't shown you the retro monitor because we're not doing it at the moment, but what we had to do was refund everyone that pledged for the monitor because we weren't going to do it. We couldn't afford to do it. So we can still afford to do everything else, but it was just that side of things. It was a real shame. And when David mentioned it yesterday about the legal issues, I just couldn't believe it. And, you know, all we're trying to do is get a Commodore product back out there, and for people to be so silly as to actually try and stop it. But what I wanted to do now is just show you the actual keyboard. So this is the USB mechanical keyboard. So this is it's hard for me to get this in the right position. Where is it? There it is. Right. So can you see it's got cherry blue MX key switches. The keycaps signature plastics. So it's a really high quality keyboard, really high quality. And then what you're supposed to do with these, so we've got three systems. So we've got the bare bones, and that is basically what you see here. So it's for you to buy and build your own modern PC. So it's a modern PC in a retro shell. Then we've got the Extreme, which is a low-end PC. So it's the particular Extreme that we're bringing out. The model of the Intel processor is a J6412. So it's a low end, and it looks pretty much like this. It's passively cooled. It hasn't got no fans on it, and it's probably a little bit more powerful than a Raspberry Pi. So that's the low end. And then we've got the high end. I haven't got a motherboard out to show you, but the high end has got a GTX 1650 graphics chip embedded onto the motherboard, combined with an i5 processor. And what I can show you, if I just turn the camera across around here, you can see I've got Assassin's Creed running there, and there's another Commodore 64X, and that's the Extreme. So if I just move that like that, I just want to show you the sort of like I know it's difficult for you to see it, but it's, considering this is a Commodore 64, and we're running at medium settings, and this is on 41 frames per second. So it's pretty powerful for what it is. That's the Ultimate. So that would be the Commodore 64 Ultimate. And I think the Kickstarter, we sold around about, I think, just under 100 Ultimates, about 200 Extremes, and the bare bones is we're on about 800 at the moment. Sorry, I've just got to take a drink. Sorry about that. But yeah, so even though we had all the issues of the takedown on the second day, it's been really, it's the people that have actually pledged for one of these, it's gone really well. I just want to briefly talk about after the campaign, because the other thing I wanted to say is, and I should have said this at the start, we're probably the only company in the world at the moment that is legally allowed to use the Commodore name, because there's a company in Germany called Individual Computers, Jens, who's brings out some fantastic stuff. I do believe he's given up the license, so we're the only company at the moment that's trying to do something with the Commodore brand, and it's been a long slog. I think only because of what we did from 2020, selling it as my retro computer, my 64, because they could see that we were doing something, that the Commodore Corporation actually agreed to allow us to use the brand for the Kickstarter, because they are trying to get a license from Commodore is very, very difficult. It's really hard work, and I've been trying to do it since 2014, since we first bought the stock, and they didn't want to know. But the other thing I wanted to show you is, in place of the DVD drive, because obviously times move on. When they originally designed the Commodore 64X, it was for a DVD or Blu-ray drive. But now what we're doing is we're putting in, so it looks like a laptop DVD drive, but in fact it's a hard drive docking station for a 2.5 inch hard drive. So what that means is from the actual, we're selling these separate. So if you buy the bare bones, you can buy this as an add-on, but for someone that is buying the Extreme or the Ultimate, you can actually increase the hard drive capacity. So the Extreme has 256 gigabytes within it, but if you want to put in, a 4 terabyte, 2.5 inch hard drive, then you can do it without opening up the system, which we thought was a really good add-on. But we're due to ship these the end of April, beginning of May, and I just wanted to move on to what's going on at the moment, because I don't know whether you know, but the pound tanked and about 2 months ago because of our useless government, and it went down from, I think it was $1.30 to, so for a pound would buy $1.32, I think, and this was what it was when we were doing the Kickstarter, and it went down to $1.07, which is, for someone like me that's trying to do this, and everything that I'm doing is in dollars. So everything I'm buying in China is in dollars. So for someone like me to try and do this, it's disastrous, because, you're losing something like 20% of the funds you've got because of our useless government. So one of the things that happened is when we got all our stock together ready to send to China, and it was loads, and I couldn't believe how much it was. It was probably half a shipping container worth. When we got it all together, I expected it to take about a month to ship it, or a month to get it ready to ship, and then 6 weeks to ship it. Well, it's not. It's taken. So we started the shipping process in August. It still hasn't arrived in Hong Kong. It's due to arrive any day now. They told me the 4th. I haven't got any excuse me, emails today, but I'm hoping within the next few days it's going to arrive. But I had to take a good thing from this, because if it had arrived 2 months ago when I thought it was going to arrive, the pound was worth $1.09. It was terrible, and I'd have to pay a load of money out. And so the delay, in a sense, has been really good, because it means that I'm getting more or less the value for money that I thought I was going to get when we were doing the campaign. But I think that's everything. I can't think of anything else to say now. The translucent is out of all the different colors we're doing. So by far the biggest seller is the beige original, but the translucent is the next best seller, and it's really doing well. It's a backlit keyboard. The only difference is we cannot use the signature plastics keycaps. We've got to use our Chinese manufacturer's own version, and they're slightly different. But other than that, it's going to be as close to what we've advertised as possible. But the other thing I just wanted to say, excuse me, is so the Kickstarter finished, and we moved on to Indiegogo's on-demand campaign, so that you can go onto there and you can still get one of these systems at like 20% off. I was due to shut this down last week, but I've kept it running. So if any of you guys would like to go on there and buy a bare bones or anything like that on the Indiegogo on demand, you can still do that. But after next week, you can only buy them for sort of like pre-sales on our website. But I think that's everything I could say. Any question? Have you got any questions? No questions?
So you mentioned the ATX motherboard. Are you providing the motherboard as well, or is that a separate person?
So basically, we've got the 3 models. We've got the bare bones, which is there's no motherboard in it. You build your own system, and we've got tutorials on our YouTube channel on how to do that. So, for instance, this is what's this one? This is a J3355B. So that would fit in there, straight in there, 4 screws. All you need to do is connect your hard drive to it and a bit of RAM, and you're ready to go. But if you don't want to do that, so if you don't want to go down the route of building your own, then you can buy the Extreme, which is basically pretty much this motherboard. So it's a low end. It's running on 2 gigahertz, 2.5 gigahertz. It's a bit more powerful than a Raspberry Pi, but it's obviously Windows based. So the other thing you can do is on our website, once we've got the operating system, you can download Commodore OS Vision. So if you're building your own, you can install Commodore OS Vision, or you can install Windows 11. It's entirely up to you. So we've got 3 systems. We've got the bare bones for you to build yourself. We've got the Extreme, which is a low end, and then we've got the Ultimate, which has got a graphics card in it, and you can game with it, and you can do lots of different things. We've got lots on our website. We've got people that have done their own builds, customer builds, so you can watch their videos. And like for instance, someone's put a Mister inside one, and they've even they're loading games from the original tape recorders. So it's amazing. I think that we can. It also support. It's going to support the Raspberry Pi as well. So we can, people can in the future will be able to buy a Raspberry Pi kit to go inside, which is basically a plate and a rear I/O shield, and then they'll be able to install their own Raspberry Pi. So there's lots of possibilities for this. So you can do, you can go down the Raspberry Pi route. You can go down a standard mini ITX motherboard, or you can install an FPGA and run as close to original Commodore, the Commodore operating system as possible. You know, it's I think, you know, it's great, and it adapts itself to whatever the person's needs are, really, you know, whatever you want to put inside it. And, you know, we're going to do as many, I'm going to throw out as many tutorials as I can. I've actually got a Mr. FPGA on order, which is a mini IGX board that you put all the stuff on. So, you know, the D10 Nano goes on it and other little odds and sods. So I've got one of those on order, but they've run out and they're waiting for the next production run. So I'm going to do a video on that. So we're going to do lots of tutorials. So I'm going to do a tutorial build on a silent low end. So that will be something like the ASRock 5040, something along the lines of that. Then we're going to do a Ryzen build and show you how to do a Ryzen, which we'll be able to game. And we'll do the Mr. build as well. So it's going to be really good. Next, you know, we're going to bring all these videos out before the launch date. So before April, I'll have a lot of build videos. We've already got build videos on our YouTube channel, but they're a year out of date now. So you've got older stuff. So we've got to redo the videos now for the new, because you know what it's like in tech. It changes every 6 months. So I want to do modern, you know, get up to date low-end motherboards, up-to-date high-end motherboards, and do new builds to show people how to do it.
And can not when UAE, but UAE and Vice, are they easy to install or ship with? I mean, with the
right. This is actually I didn't want to say anything, but I will now. I'm not annoyed, but I am. So this is how it goes, right? So we're the only company in the world that's got a Commodore license at the moment. Commodore are looking to license it to other companies as well. We're producing the Commodore 64X, right? It looks like a Commodore 64. Can we use the Commodore 64 ROM, please, Clo-Unto, right? I haven't, even though I've met Mike and he's been really, Mike's a lovely man, right? I've got a lot of respect for him. He's helped me out in the past. I won't go into detail, but in 2020, when we started, a certain retro game company in the UK tried to sue me, right? I'm not going to go into detail. Mike stopped them from suing me. Lovely man. I've got a lot of respect for him. But when you talk to him, sometimes it's hard to get an answer. Sometimes, like I had a meeting last year. We went to, it's called Retcon, this year. And I had a meeting. It lasted an hour. Just a friendly chat, each side of the table, and all I wanted to do was I want to be able to use the ROM, because Commodore OS Vision, as it was in 2011, it natively supports the PET, the Commodore PET, right? The VIC-20, the Commodore 16, the Commodore 64, right? So you can launch it from the dock. You can press on it. Pick the one you want, and up it comes, and it supports it. Brilliant, right? So I wanted to be able to do that again. So remember, this was done by Commodore USA in America. So they produced the original one. So Commodore OS Vision had all this support in it, and all I wanted to do was carry that on. But an hour of talks with Mike, and I come out of it, and I still didn't know. I knew less than what I did when I went into the meeting. Now the problem is, this company that tried to sue me, I've got the worldwide rights to use the Commodore 64 ROM. I'm not going to say who they are. I think it's obvious who they are. And I think that they've got the worldwide exclusive license to use it, i.e. I'm not allowed to. He's not allowed to let me use it because they've got it. I don't know. But I'm not, at this present moment in time. I've sent countless emails to Mike. Again, I've got a lot of respect for the man. I think he's a brilliant bloke. And if he could let me use it, he would. I think he's tied and he can't. But he hasn't, instead of just saying, Sean, I can't let you use it because other people have got the license too, and I can't do that. I think he don't want to let me down, if you know what I mean. So what we did is I finally give up. About 2 months ago, I gave up emailing Mike, and I thought he's obviously can't let me use it because he's not returning me emails now. So I contacted, and you guys probably have heard of these. Have you heard of the mega organization in Germany, Mega 65, right? Fantastic load of people. Again, these people have helped me loads. When I've had issues, when people are threatening to sue me and I don't know what to do, because it's happened a lot, I've gone to them because they've got so much. They're just lovely people. They really are. And I went to them and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't. How can I sell a Commodore 64 and you can't play Commodore 64 games on it? And they said, well, we've got something called an open ROMs project, where, because at the start we didn't get we couldn't use the Commodore 64 ROM either, so we decided to make our own. And of course, when Clone 2 found out, they let them use the Commodore 60 ROM because they don't want another ROM to come out, if you know what I mean. So it's an open ROMs project, and they're making it from scratch. It's got nothing to do with the original Commodore 64, but it's going to, at the moment, it supports something like 75% of the games, and then they're making it so that it supports more. So they're letting me use the ROM. So Leo, the CTO from Commodore USA, that's going to upgrade Commodore OS Vision, is going to put the Mega 65 ROM, open ROM, into OS Vision, so we can still give a little. It's not ideal. Ideally, I'd want to, usually be able to open up a Commodore 64 and it'd be the Commodore 64 ROM, but we can't do that. So it's going to be as close to as possible, until maybe one day Mike says you can use the ROM now. I don't know, but it's a shame, and I don't, I can't. It's if Mike could let me use it, he would. I know he would. So there's other issues why he can't let me use the ROM. It's unfortunate, but it's just the way it is now. The thing is, if I'd have known how difficult it would be to do this, I wouldn't have done it. All the things that's happened over the last few years, I can't say a lot of it because someone would probably sue me, but it's not been very good. There's been so much, and what David said yesterday about the litigation. There's so much good. In all the retro scene at the moment, look at Amiga and everything that's going on, and all the community, and everyone's producing stuff, and it's amazing. But at the same time, there's this dark side of it where you're getting sued for trying to do stuff, and it's so annoying, and it's disheartening as well, especially when you're trying to produce something and you're thinking, what's the harm in this? Why are you trying to sue me? I've done nothing to you. Why are you threatening to sue me unless I stop selling this? Or another thing is, I had again, I don't want to go into detail, but the same company that tried to sue me before, that Mike helped, that stopped suing me, they got in contact after the Kickstarter, during the Kickstarter, and they threatened to take the Kickstarter. Well, they didn't threaten to take the Kickstarter down, but they're very selective in their words. It was, we might, it was a bit hazy, but basically they said, we own the bread bin shape, and you're not allowed to use the bread bin shape unless you license it from me or from us. And I thought, there's no way you own the bread bin shape, because the bread bin, it's been on sale since 1980 or whatever, when the VIC-20 come out. There's no way that you can own it. But we've licensed it. We've patented it in 2018. And I'm thinking, well, this shape, this Commodore 64X has been out since 2011. So there's so much stuff in the background, and it's just a real shame. If everyone got on, and one thing I want to say is, I've signed up to David's alliance, AGA alliance. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I hope it's going to stop things like this. If you're a member of this new group, hopefully it stops all this nonsense from going on in the background that you don't know about. No one knows about it, but it's going on. People trying to stop people from producing things, and I think, if everyone signs up to David's new project, I think it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to get the stamp of approval on my website, and it's on there. It's going to be brilliant. But yeah, I didn't want to go into much detail about, because these people that have threatened me a few times, I don't think I think they're just looking for an excuse to sue me, so I don't want to say much.
I was just wondering if the UAE programs themselves would be shipping sans kernel, is whether sans Workbench and without Kickstarter is all I meant to refer to.
So Commodore OS Vision natively will support the UAE project, because that's obviously, not, you say, that's not got the original Amiga ROMs on it. So that, as I understand it, that will support that, and you'll be able to load that up straight away from OS Vision. The only thing that side of things is going to be all right. It's the Commodore ROMs that's the issue with. So at the moment, or when you get OS Vision, you'll be able to go down the UAE route, but you'll also be able to go and open up the Mega 65 Open ROM Commodore 64. I can't call it a Commodore 64 ROM because not, but you'll be able to do that. So we're trying to give as much support as we can. But the main ethos behind this is the project is it's a modern PC. So you do all your modern PC things on it, but it's a retro computer. It looks retro, but you can do all your modern stuff on it. But if you want to go down the route of emulation, you can. And that is the main idea behind that.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Do you have any questions for us, John?
Say that again, sorry.
Do you have any questions for us, since you have a captive audience here?
What do you think of the project? Do you like the project?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so much when we were doing the crowdfunding campaign, we were putting a lot of adverts out on Facebook and things like that, and the amount of love and towards the project, it was there's a bit of negativity to it, people saying it's not a Commodore 64. Well, if you wanted to go down that route, no, it's not, but it's a modern computer, but I think what you guys have done, and being the people behind it, being the oldest Commodore computer club in the world, is amazing. And for me, being a tiny little part of it, being on the show, being on here and talking, it's been amazing. My voice projecting out from the UK all the way across the Atlantic to Canada to talk to you guys. I'm honoured, to be fair, to be a guest presenter. Just to talk. It's fantastic. I wish I could be there. I really do.
Well, we're really glad you were able to join us today. This was very cool, and I'm going to be taking a closer look myself later this week.
Excellent. Thank you very much.